9-foot-tall, hairy mountain people who would kill you. And, he didn't believe it. So he goes up there. About 3 days, nothing. He only notices minute problems. His camp keeps getting ransacked, and stuff is disappearing. So the last night, before he was kidnapped, he slept fully clothed and with his rifle beside him. And that's when he was kidnapped. And the thing kept the three of them. They kept him for like you said, about a week. He got away by they weren't going to let him go. What happened was, again, this is supposedly, what happened was he was chewing some tobacco, and the big male Sasquatch that kidnapped him was curious.
What I heard. That's what I heard was the tobacco thing.
And he chugged it, and he swallowed it, and he was in enormous pain, and that's when he ran. Albert Osman. I love that story. I do believe it, because there really isn't a lot of problems with it. It's very consistent with Sasquatch sightings. One thing, of course, the thing I found most interesting about that encounter was that he said he heard them speaking some kind of language, which has also been reported. I mean, it's mostly just like a series of grunts, but it's almost like people talking. Yeah. And they've had this encounter on Finding Bigfoot, too, in Season 1. So, I don't know. Oh, yeah. So, back to the whole Sasquatch is violent thing. I think, like any animal, they're going to be violent or dangerous if you mess with them. And Cliff brought this up. He said that if you're cool to them, they'll be cool to you. And I believe that. And
I also like... actually, no, I didn't like this because I got to be honest. I believe that the only way we're going to prove that Bigfoots are real is with a dead body. And
I agree. Unfortunately,
and Cliff, unfortunately, and Cliff was like, if somebody shoots one, hopefully they carry through with it because of the horrible thing that they've done. I kind of have to agree with that because the thing that really compels me is that there's a lot of cases where hunters see them, and hunters have guns or weapons or whatever. Why don't they shoot it? And the reaction that all of them say, and I mean like literally all of them, is that something tells them to look away.
What I always
or it looked so human they couldn't shoot it.
That's what I've heard mostly.
I've heard that something tells them to look away, and or something, or they just look so human that they can't shoot it.
That's what I've heard most. Yeah, and unfortunately I do have to agree that the only way we're going to prove it is with a body. And this is way less likely because this would be practically impossible, is to trap one.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No, it's not, but I think that's the most humane way to do it. It's not going to happen, but that would be the most humane way to do it. Although supposedly that's happened before and they've gotten away. The Jacko incident comes to mind, which I'm not going to get into because it's a long story. And yeah, I do stick with that belief that we're only going to prove it with a dead body. And that's one of the few things that that guy, they talked about this in the episode, Todd Standing, who was with that video that was the Sasquatch supposedly getting up and going back down. It's like the 5-second clip.
Yeah.
That they said was most likely a hoax. Oh damn, I just forgot what I was going to say.
Well, we only have 10 minutes left to do this, so I guess let's keep talking.
Sorry, okay. So I've pretty much been blabbing my mouth off for this whole episode, so what did you most like about the episode?
What I most liked about the episode was, again, I really liked Renee really just going like, I want to believe. She's not like one of those people who are like, yeah, they're fake, they're just fake, they're not, there's nothing you're going to prove to me unless you find a body that they're real. She wants to believe.
Yeah.
And it really sold me in this episode that she is one of those people that really wants to believe. But until then, she's going to have to say, no, they do not exist. She's going to need to have that experience.
Right. I agree, and that's awesome.
And another thing that really bugged me was, there was this one episode where, what was it? They find this empty house. Renee and Matt find this empty house. And they go inside of it. Why they would go inside of it, I don't know. But they go inside. and they look for a mattress. And Matt says, I think a Bigfoot would actually seek out the mattress. And Renee was very skeptical. This is one of the few times where I actually kind of believe Matt Moneymaker.
Makes sense. I mean, bears have done it.
Bears have done it. Why wouldn't a Sasquatch do it?
And he very logically said, well, if you came in here, getting out of the cold, would you go on the floor, or would you see a nice big comfy looking thing and go on that?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'd think a Bigfoot would be sort of like poking it first, but then, that was actually one of the few times where I was really like, yeah, I kind of believe in Matt Moneymaker's logic there. I mean, I believed in his logic before, but that was really one of the few times where I was like, yeah, I actually really 100% would believe that.
Me too. And again, that's from the New York episode, which is probably my favorite episode of the season.
Yeah. And, again, I really liked it how, Bobo actually admitted this, and I gave him kudos for that. He was like, I'm actually positive that I've thought things were Bigfoot in the past when really they weren't.
I was very interested in that little thing he was talking about, how squatchers hearing each other when they're out in Salt Fork National Park, because that's really interesting. And yeah, you got to give them props for admitting that.
Yeah, and again, it just showed that clip of, I forgot which episode it was, but you heard a howl, and all of a sudden he's like, "Did you hear that?" That was a coyote. Which again, it clear connections or clear. It's easy to mistake a Bigfoot supposed yelp with a coyote yelp. But there was one yell, and I forget what episode it was in. But there was this one holler that I knew damn well that wasn't a coyote or anything. Was when suddenly everything is quiet and you just barely hear. It's like ooh, and then all of a sudden Cliff's like, "Did you hear that?" And Matt's like, "Yeah, I heard that. Did you hear that?" "Yeah, I just heard that." And you can barely hear it. And that was truly one of the very few calls that I've heard on this show that was not made by them. That I was like, that was not a coyote or any sort of animal that I've heard.
Yeah, definitely. It's a rough experience going Bigfooting, just from what they've done in the show. And you're very often disappointed. It's a very frustrating thing to try and accomplish. And they're so far doing it really well. And this episode kind of encapsulated why this is one of my favorite expedition groups who are trying to accomplish this goal of finding Bigfoot.
Yeah, and a lot of my friends say that even people on YouTube who watch this show are like, they just watch it for the entertainment value, that they think they're all stupid. I'll sort of nod them off. I'll nod them off during the daytime, but really in my head I'm biting my tongue that entire time, because they're not doing this for entertainment. They're not faking this.
Yeah. And again, it's unfortunate. They're never going to be taken seriously without a body.
This is true. This is very true.
Or without really, really clear footage.
Yeah, which I'm praying that eventually they find one, especially with the fact that apparently they're going global.
Yeah. I want to talk about this. Go ahead with what you're saying.
No, I was just going to be saying, with them going global, just adds more of a chance of them finding something good.
Yeah. I mean, look at what Destination Truth found when they went looking for the Yeti.
Yeah, they actually did a DNA test, and it just barely came back because I'm a fan of his on Facebook, and it says it was that of a primate, but of an unknown primate. It matches that of a primate, the DNA of a primate, the DNA sequence of a primate, but it's of an unknown primate, unknown species, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that was very compelling. And if with them going international, they're going to be able to look at different variants on the Sasquatch species, supposedly. I mean, the Yeti and Bigfoot are two very different creatures, but they're both supposedly part of the same species.
Yeah, and this is what I'm really looking forward to. Because again, they'll need to stop talking in absolutes as much going to all these other countries because they don't know about them as much.
Right. I mean, these are people who are very experienced in American outdoors. I mean, how are they gonna deal when they go to the Australian outback to look for the I think it's called the
like Yowie or something?
The Yowie. Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to them going to the Himalayas and looking for the Yeti.
That'll be cool.
Because, to be honest, Bigfoot doesn't really creep me out. The Yeti does. The Yeti creeps me out.
The Yeti creeps me out because it's been reported to kill people. Yeah. And they have, on that very famous Jeff Corwin special, Search for the Yeti, I don't know if you've seen it, he talked to a woman who had scars from a supposed Yeti attack.
Yeah, it's not that just freaks me out. It's just the fact that it's so barren up there and so creepy.
They're also just they're almost more intimidating than a Sasquatch because they live in such a very harsh environment that they're probably not quite as, I don't want to say friendly, but they're probably not quite as curious and more territorial, maybe.
Well, yeah, their idea would be more of, I want to survive.
Yeah.
I believe in.
That's the species where I'm like, they're probably carnivores. Or omnivores.
Yeah. Well, I'm a firm believer, actually, that I don't think that Sasquatches here in North America are carnivorous.
I have high doubts about it. Again, I've said this on the show before, but I think it's probable that they eat fish. But I think it's probably improbable that's a weird thing to say. It's improbable that they eat deer. And I can see where the team comes from when they say that, but I mean, gorillas don't eat, stuff like that in the Congo.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say, and the reason why I say that I believe that Sasquatches are vegetarians is because of all the other great apes. They're vegetarians. And
chimps do eat monkeys.
Well, this is true, but
then again, people have always said that Sasquatches are closer to gorillas than they are chimpanzees.
Yeah, well, I believe that the Sasquatch is a branch off of an extinct species called Gigantopithecus, which bigger gorillas. And well, actually, I won't even consider him Bigfoot because I do believe that they walked upright Gigantopithecus. I'm one of the minority sect upon that. But
well, I know that's been scientifically proven that they walked on two legs at points.
Well, it's still skeptical because the bone that they found to sort of prove to that is very decayed, and so so they can't really say that. But I do believe that they walked upright. But they because of the bone structures and the skull structures and the jaw the jaw bones that they found of it, because they have to this date not found a single full skeleton of Gigantopithecus, but they just from the jawbones that they've seen, that it just proved that they're vegetarians and that those teeth were only used for like self-defense and shit like that.
Yeah. And the theory that, well, the pretty much proven idea that they were around during the times of early man, it only further escalates the idea that that's why men and Sasquatches don't really interact that often.
Yeah.
Because the species is kind of used to it. So that's one of the ways that I always defend that. That's why we haven't proven that they exist yet, because it's a very long-running species and family that is used to evading man, because man is dangerous. So that's how I always kind of defend the idea that that's why we haven't found one yet and put it in a zoo.
Right. So is there anything else you want to say?
Not really.
Right. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing much else to say other than ZGC Monthly Reviews is up.
Yes, it is.
And it's a rather entertaining episode.
Lots of debates.
It's really fun. I'm Adam Noyes.
I'm Bill Worster.
And we will see you all here next week.